Are you a business owner or employee who needs to network but is terrified of walking into a room full of people you don't know? Are you afraid of being left out of conversations or being awkward in the conversations you do have? Your tour guide, Faithann, is here to walk alongside you through the networking terrain, offering tips and tricks to network with ease. Grab your sunscreen and suitcase. Faithann is ready. Are you?
Welcome, new and returning listeners. I'm your host, Faith Ann, the Networker's Tour Guide. You've found the place to get your networking questions answered one episode at a time. Let's dive into episode 56. This episode is another solo episode, and it is very closely related to episode 55, Networking in Unbridled Potential. So in episode 55, I talked about unbridled potential as chaos, only the best kind of chaos, in your networking meeting. There's so much potential waiting for you in these rooms full of people who are willing to connect and who are open and curious about your business and who have opportunities for you. And those same rooms, you have opportunities for others. You just don't know yet. So last episode was a real clear way you could think about how the chaos or the uncertainty of your networking meeting can be a good thing for you because it unlocks all this potential. It unlocks connections that you just don't know about yet, and it gives those connections the place to begin. And then we talked a little bit about the uncomfortableness of maybe awkward conversations or questions you don't know the answers to, or a poor performance on a pitch, how that's just the agitation you need to make you better. Now, this episode is around bringing some order to the uncertainty, the right kind of order that lets the conversations flow, that lets the potential go where it needs to go within confines, within safety. And if you lead a networking group, if you're thinking about beginning a networking group, this episode is for you. If the leadership in the networking group you're part of, you're not real happy with, this might also be a good episode for you to think about how you may be able to share this with them, or maybe some of the things that I mentioned in this episode could be things that you could bring up to the leadership to maybe make it better. Maybe you'll get some insight as to why you're not liking your group. Definitely, though, if you're leading a group or thinking about starting one, I'm going to give you some great tips that are going to give your members the safety and the order they need so that they can really truly connect without a lot of confusion. Now, after you listen to this episode, I would encourage you, if you haven't listened to episode 29, Two Sides of the Connection Coin, Supporting Leaders and Members in Networking Groups, go back and listen to that as well, because I do cover in that episode more of the how your members should be feeling when they leave your group. And that's an important thing to think about as well when you're leading a group or you're thinking about starting a group. Here are the three components that create the most order for your members without stifling any kind of potential. Now, imagine you have an untamed horse. And the untamed horse is wild and moves a lot and bucks and does all of the things that wild horses do. And the horse is contained in a fence. You see those old westerns, and you have the fence that surrounds the horse, and people can sit up on the top of the fence and talk and take their turns trying to tame the horse. Think about that. We want the horse to be wild and crazy. So in our networking meetings, we want our conversations to have unbridled potential, and we want them to be able to go wherever they want to go. We just want that fence around the horse. And what that means for us as leaders is we have to have some containers. We have to have a fence of sorts around this unbridled potential. And the key is knowing how close that fence needs to be, how high it needs to be. You know, is there flexibility? Where do we stand hard and fast, and where do we allow room for flexibility? That's That's the big question that you should always be evaluating. So here are 3 components to build that fence where we can have the people who come to our meetings really enjoy a lot of freedom in their conversations, in what could be, at the same time, give them certainty and safety. Number 1, think about your agenda. Your agenda is going to play a very large role in how your members feel before, during, and after your event. There are meetings that have different agendas. The important thing about your meeting agenda is that it needs to stay consistent. And the reason why it needs to stay consistent is so that members or your people who attend know what to expect. And also think about they're telling their friends, they're telling the other business owners they know about your meeting. If you're wanting your meeting to grow, you want others telling others about your meeting. So you have to think, how hard is it going to be for one member to tell someone new about my meeting? I want it to be easy, easy, easy. And part of that is that we do the same thing every time we meet, whether that's weekly or monthly. It has to be very, very consistent so that members can easily tell other people what's going to happen. And so they know for themselves what's going to happen. You can have a meeting that is strictly open networking the entire time. You can have a meeting that is very regimented and very little open networking. You can have a mix, which I recommend. No matter what you pick, members need to know what to expect, and it needs to be the same each time. Here are the pitfalls to consider in each different kind of agenda. So if your meeting is strictly open networking the entire time, this is what you need to be very, very aware of. For some, it's going to be really hard for them to walk into the room, especially if they're by themselves, and strike up conversations on their own. Now, I told a story in one of the previous episodes about how I actually turned around and left a meeting because when I walked in the registration table, everyone was friendly and gave me a name tag and everything was wonderful. But then the walk from the registration table to where the event actually was and to get in the middle of the action and get into a conversation, there was no help for me there. Once I left the registration table, I had to walk a distance and then go into this dark room. No one greeted me when I walked into the dark room. And the task I had of getting to a conversation was insurmountable. Everyone in that dark room was far away. They all looked like they were very engrossed in their own conversations. I was by myself. It was just too much, and I turned around and left. Snuck back by the registration table, so hopefully nobody saw me leave, and just not having a great feeling and feeling like a failure. And looking back, it wasn't that I failed. That was an oversight, a large oversight on the leadership of that particular event. So here's what you do instead. If you have a meeting that is just plain open networking, it's so important to have people that not only just say hello to you. That is not enough. You need people to guide those scared people from the entrance into your space, into a conversation. And it's not enough to even be positioned at the beginning of your space that you're hosting your event in, to have a really friendly face there and say, hello, we're so glad to see you. Go ahead and grab your food and just start talking to people. That's not enough. Or, we're so glad to see you, Mary. Come on in, start talking, start mingling. That's not enough. You will know those people that are terrified. You'll see them. And so those people need a guide. They're not going to be able to do it on their own. you have to take that into account. You have to have a team of people who are good at this kind of thing, who can start talking to those terrified people, learn some information about them, and be that safe, warm smile that's going to talk to them and ask them enough questions that they then will know, the host, these team hosts will know after maybe 3 or 4 questions, where could I take this person and gently place them into a conversation? Who would be in this room would be a good place for this new terrified networker to land? Or I should say, where? Where would be a good place for the new scared business owner to land? Because I can't stay with this person the entire time, but I cannot leave this person to his or her own devices, because they will find the first opportunity to leave, and they'll leave and they won't ever come back. That is what you'll have to take into account. You need a really good team of people who their only job, at least for the first 15, 20 minutes, maybe even longer, is to notice who looks uncomfortable and to greet them. They should be greeting everybody. And you're going to have different people who are in different stages of this. So their job is to notice who's walking in, say hello to everyone who walks into the actual space, not just a registration table 5-6 feet away, but the actual room or space where the networking is supposed to happen. And then they need to be able to quickly calibrate and assess, okay, what level of scared is this person? What level? If this person is very familiar and comfortable, then I'm going to say hello to that person, and I'm going to say, hey, Bob over there, he was just talking about his chickens. And I remembered the last time we talked, you were thinking about getting chickens. Go over there and talk to Bob. Hey, Sally, she just switched jobs. She has a whole new career now. She just got a real estate license. Why don't you go ask her about it? So the people who are comfortable, that's all you need to do. You don't need to walk over there with them. You just kind of point them or ask them a question. How was your vacation, Mary? Oh, cool. Go grab yourself something to eat. And Mary's going to go and find her people, and Mary's going to have a fine time. Then you're going to have people who walk in and they're not terrified, but they're just a little bit uneasy maybe, or a little bit shy. I mean, they're not terrified. They're just kind of a little bit like, okay, this is going to be a job. I can do it, but this is going to be a job. I got to go find somebody to talk to. Those people, your host team, those people for that person who's like, okay, I've got a job to do, but I can do it. For those people, you would say something like, hey, Bob, how have you been? And you would talk to Bob for a little bit longer. You wouldn't just say, hi, Bob, and say something and then point them off to a corner of the room. You talk to them a little bit longer, and maybe you say, hey, who can I introduce you to? Or you say, hey, what's been going on in your life? Again, you're thinking, okay, who would be a good connection? And then you think, I've got a good connection for you. Let's go over and talk to Sally. And then maybe you just introduce this person, the new person. He's not quite terrified, but he's not real comfortable. You take him over to Sally and you introduce, and then you leave, because he's going to be okay. You've gotten him from the door to a conversation. You don't need to do much more hand-holding than that. So those are the people who are just kind of in between. They're not terrified, but they're not real comfortable. You take them and you find a place for them, and then let them do their thing. Then you have the people like I was. And what was funny about my experience is I didn't go into the room scared. Like, I was excited to be there at this event, this mixer, when the room was dark and no one looked at me, no one stopped what they're doing. I felt invisible. And I was surprised that I was going to feel that way. There was just so many conditions working against me. So we want people to not feel invisible. I would recommend not dark rooms. that person who's all of a sudden, oh, I feel invisible. This sucks. What am I going to do? Those are the people that your team needs to come up and really get them comfortable and know this is going to be a probably 8-minute conversation. And then after I get them comfortable, I'm going to go find somebody special, somebody who's really good at making others feel comfortable. I'm going to go find that person, and I'm going to stay in that conversation for even a few more minutes after that. I'm not going to do a quick handoff. I'm going to stay, and I'm going to say, Sally, Martha is coming to our event for the first time, and I've gotten to learn a little bit about Martha. And you tell Sally, Martha just started her business about 6 months ago. And then Martha, of course, is going to be like, oh, that's wonderful, Martha. Tell me more about your business. And you stay until you get the final feeling that Martha is at ease, or at least a little bit more at ease than she was when she first walked in. So if you're going to have this open networking, that's a lot to think about, and it's a lot to put in place. It's absolutely necessary to have these kind of people that can take those hesitant people and bring them into the room, because a lot of times they can't do it on them. They can't do it themselves, or they may think that they can, like I did. I thought, okay, I'm going to go to this event and it's going to be fine, and I'm going to talk to some people. And when it came to it, when I was faced up against it, it was just too scary. So you need to take that into account.
Hey, networkers. If you want your next one-to-one to go beyond swapping business cards, Faithann's got something for you. She created a free resource called 10 Questions to Ask in a One-to-One. It's packed with thoughtful questions that help you get to know someone and leave a lasting impression. Click on the 10 questions link in the show notes and download this resource today.
Now, the other extreme of this, if your agenda is going to be completely structured from the moment they walk in till the moment they leave, they're kind of more an audience than they are networking, then you'll need to put in some activities where they can at least connect with the people they're sitting next to. A time in the meeting where they can say hello to the people next to them, facilitate ongoing connection. Maybe you do an icebreaker game, something where they're not just merely an audience member. Now, my favorite kind of agenda is the agenda where we have a mix of both. So we have some open networking time, and then we have time where we're listening, and then we're each sharing about our business during that elevator pitch time. Maybe we listen to a business sponsor or a speaker for an extended time, like 5 or 6 minutes. I like that the best. I think it's a great mix of both letting people navigate their own conversations without too much overwhelm where they have to do this the entire time. So your agenda is really important, and it can be the thing that gives your members a lot of safety and a lot of certainty so that the potential can really grow. The potential for connections, the potential for meeting your next business partner, the potential for a referral that can increase your revenue. Even if it's just a little bit, it may be just what you need. The potential for you to find a good employee through another business owner, making an introduction. So all of this potential is right there in the room. And as a leader, it's your job to facilitate it by letting people feel safe, by letting people feel like they know what's coming next, and by anticipating the challenges that they're going to have and mitigating against it and putting things in place so that when these challenges come up, we've already thought of it. Part of your agenda as well, end on time. End on time. Start on time. If something has to change in the agenda for last minute, a lot of times we over-explain. Avoid over-explaining. We want just quick, clean changes. If so-and-so was going to lead the meeting and so-and-so is sick and someone else has to step in, hi, friends, I'm going to be stepping in for Mary today. She's not feeling well. And then off you go. Not a lot of over-explaining, a lot of talk that isn't relevant to the room. It's not comfortable. It's not fun for members to hear loads of information that isn't important to them. Sometimes people just get on this kick where they like to hear themselves talk, and so they just talk and talk and talk. The people in the room have lent you their time, and they want the potential there. They think it's good. They're looking for change, like I talked about in episode 55. They're looking for change in the current state that they're in. They're looking for more connections. They're looking for deeper connections with the people they already have. So you'll need to avoid drowning those potential changes and those potential good connections by over talking and over explaining anything that has to be different. Now, for directions and marketing, this is very important that members know where the meeting is going to take place and what to expect. And if you're going to have a meeting during a meal hour, are you providing the meal? If you are, is it going to cost? How are they going to get the meal? What are the expectations? Do they have to purchase food or drink, or is it optional? If you're meeting during a mealtime and you're not providing a meal, people need to know that, because if they skip a meal because they think that where they're going, there's going to be food, and then they don't have food, they could get a little cranky. We're losing some potential there. When people are cranky, they're not as open, they're not as interested in others when their own needs aren't being met. So if there is no food, it needs to be known, hey, we're not going to eat. Now, of course, your marketing people you want to say that in a really cool marketing way, like for social media and emails and things. Just make sure that it's known. Don't make confusion part of the experience that people have when they're learning about your event and they're deciding if they want to attend, because confused people usually don't take action. So confused people, they just won't come to your thing because it's confusing. If you have an event at a location that has more than one location, that needs to be very, very, very clearly displayed in your marketing. So a restaurant, let's just call the restaurant Jack's. Don't just say at Jack's in Norman or at Jack's in XYZ city. You want the address, but you also want something that says like it's the one near the whatever. Because we just scan things so quickly, and we may just read it and then think, oh, okay, it's this Jack's, when actually it's not that Jack's. It's the other Jack's across town. So be aware of that when you're doing your emailing and marketing for your event. Try and keep your locations the same. I remember I was at a conference years ago, and it was when I was working in childcare, and one of the people in the workshop said, hey, I have infants, and, I love just changing the room around for them, just changing the shelves and changing the toys and changing them out. And the instructor said, do you like it when you have to take a new route to work when there's construction? And she said, no. And so the instructor said, yeah, your little babies don't like that. They don't like it. There's no benefit to changing furniture when you're taking care of babies. The babies know that the toy is in this place. They've learned that that's where their favorite toy is. And if they have to go searching for it, it doesn't make them happy. And so we aren't much different. We don't like scavenger hunts. I think scavenger hunts are great for games with teenagers and for TV shows, reality TV, not so much for business owners who have plenty to worry about and don't need the added stress of a new location for no good reason. When you have your location, keep it there. The only reason you should be changing is if the location is detrimental to connection. So if something is happening at that location that makes it harder for people to be there, then by all means change. But just because of the variety, because you want the variety, I would recommend that you not do that. keep things the same. People like their routines. If something's working well, they don't want changes. The last component, when you as a leader are thinking about your members and you're thinking about making safety and clarity for your members and your attendees so that they can connect, so that they can have this unbridled potential, is the food. So if you do decide to have food, carefully consider the kind of food that you're providing and consider how difficult it is to eat the food. Consider how and where and when the food is going to be consumed. Food is a big deal. And if people have a bad experience with your food, they're going to associate that with you. So get feedback. Ask your members about the food. Is it good? Is it bland? Would they rather not have messy barbecue? Would they rather have something more simple? You have dietary concerns to think about. Some people are gluten-free, so they're going to need options. Sometimes a curtailed menu is good. It gives people less choices, and that does make it easier for the staff. It makes it easier for your members because they're not inundated with all these choices they have to make. It probably makes the food come out a little quicker, and they can spend less time trying to decide what they want and more time talking to the plumber they need to talk to, or meeting that photographer, or getting with that realtor that they met last week. So as I wrap up this episode, let's remember that confusion stifles potential, but clarity allows potential to soar. So our agenda, we want clarity in our agenda, in our marketing as to when and where, and directions to get there, and the food. We want clarity around all of that. Confusion stifles conversations, but safety allows conversations to go exploring. Confusion repels, and clarity attracts. You want to have an attractive meeting for your business owners to come and explore and see what potential is waiting for them. One more quick thought I had around the agenda. When you have the part of the meeting where people are going to stand up and deliver their elevator pitch or their introduction, you'll need something that puts some boundaries around how long they can talk. Now, some people are very scared and they're just going to stand up and say their name and maybe their business name and then sit right back down. And there are some who don't understand timing and really don't understand how easily they can go off track. They'll start talking about themselves, and they would talk for 10 minutes if you let them, and they would have no idea that it's been 10 minutes. You'll need something that helps the room understand the expectations. Are we going to have 30 seconds? Are we going to have 60 seconds? Have something in place that helps the members know that it's time for them to wrap up their turn and let the next person have their turn. And there's various ways you can do it. Sometimes I've been to some meetings where when the 60 seconds is up, we clap, and that lets people know that their turn's up. I've been to other meetings where there's actually a screen and it has a countdown of the time. And then there's been other meetings I've been to where it's more free-flowing, where there isn't a hard and fast time. And if you do that, you're just going to need to make sure that as members are just having this free time to introduce themselves with no time limit, watch your own time, watch the meeting, and is this making the meeting go long? And if it is, then you'll need to address that. You'll need to have some boundaries around this portion of your meeting so that your meeting ends on time. You may have to have a talk with one of your attendees or your meetings if they come week after week or month after month, and everyone is doing a fine job staying within a minute or so, and you have that one who's talking for 3 to 4 minutes every time. You may just have to have a talk and say, hey, we love having you here and we want to hear what you have to say, and I'm just going to have to ask you to shorten up your introduction time a little bit. Go network, my friend, and if you're leading a networking group, you are entrusted with a great responsibility and a rewarding responsibility. And think about how can you create the safety and the clarity that your members need in order to truly connect at your meeting.
You've been listening to the Networkers Tour Guide podcast with Faithann Basore. Share this episode with a friend and be sure to come back next week for more networking tips and tricks from the Networkers Tour Guide.